Hello students, welcome back to class. It's good to be with you, and I hope that you're all caught up on your homework. We are on page 58, lesson 8, grammar focus. This is going to be a long lesson because I'm going to teach you more than what is in the lesson. And so grammar focus is modifiers with participles and prepositions. And so I want to make sure that you understand about participles, prepositions, and how to use the articles before we get into this lesson. So we're going to do one lesson on participles and participle phrases, another lesson on prepositions and prepositional phrases, and another short lesson on how to use a, and the articles. And then we will get into the actual grammar focus. All right? And so let's look at the screen. First of all, just to be clear, to make sure that you understand, you know my teaching style, and my teaching style is to review. And so what is a participle? A participle is a word that is formed from a verb. And so you know that a verb shows action in present, past, and future tense. And so the participle is a verb that we use as an adjective, or it can be used as a noun. And how do we do that? Okay, it can be used as an adjective by saying, for example, burned toast. Burn is the adjective, but we add ed and we're describing a kind of toast. What kind of toast? Burned toast. It's toast. Toast, you know, is bread that has been cooked. And it's bread that has been cooked too long, and so it's burned. It is not the past tense. We burned something. We burned the paper. It burned the house. That is a past tense verb. But this is a verb we add ed to, and look, it's describing toast. It's burned toast, so it becomes an adjective. So the verb becomes an adjective by adding ed. The same for working woman. Work is the adjective. And so I work every day. I worked yesterday. I am working now. I will work tomorrow. And so those are the different tenses of the verb work. But here we're using working as an adjective to describe what kind of woman. Is she a housewife? No, she's a working woman. So this becomes a noun. Becomes an adjective, describing what kind. It can be a noun if we use the two words together, working woman, but we're using it as an adjective to describe what kind of woman? A lazy woman, a big woman, a fat woman, a working woman. She is a woman who works. It describes what kind of a woman. Or it can be used as a noun, good breeding. The verb is breed. Breed is the word that we use when animals have sex. When the master causes the animals to have sex, we say to mate, in order to create another healthier animal. So two horses, for example, we use this word for horses. So a male horse and a female horse have sex together, they breed. It's called breed. And so the result is a baby horse that is stronger than mommy and daddy. So that's the word breed. Breed is a verb, and so the horse has good breeding. Okay, and so good breeding. Breeding becomes a noun. It's a verb, breed, that we put ing on, and we're using it in the sentence as a noun. Sometimes participles appear as part of a phrase. And so, for example, is going. This is a short phrase. He is going. Okay? And so going, of course, is a verb, but here it's used as a participle. Go is the verb, and going is the participle. But let's look at the next slide. I think it makes it clear. And so we have the verb, we have the present participle, the past participle, and perfect participle. Okay, so let's look at this. Paint. Paint is the verb. Paint is liep nampoa. And so we paint. We paint a house. We paint a car. We paint a motorcycle. And so, but here we're creating a present participle by adding ing. Painting. Okay? And so it becomes it's a painting. And painted. Painted also is a past tense verb. He painted the fence, but here it can also be used as a past participle. And perfect participle, having painted the house. Okay, the same for dress. Dress is a noun, but dress is also a verb. Welcome to the very confusing English language. We have nouns that are also verbs, verbs that are also nouns, and so this is one reason why English is very difficult to understand. So dress here is used as a verb. We dress ourselves every day. And so, but we can also use it as a present participle. Dressing, past participle, dressed, and let me say this again to the confusing English language. Dressed can also be a past tense verb, but it's also a past participle. And having dressed. So all of these, paint, dress, change, read, take, see, all of these are verbs, but we change them into a present participle by adding ing. All right? And so here's the rule. How to form a participle. You have the verb, you add ing, and it becomes an adjective, becomes an adjective, for example, or a noun. Wear plus in, wearing. Dance plus ing, dancing. Sit plus ing, sitting. I see a boy wearing a blue hat. All right, and so this is just a short lesson, but there is also something called a gerund. A gerund, this can be so confusing, but I just need to tell you, and we will talk about it later and explain it more later. But there is something called a gerund. A gerund is similar to a participle. A participle is a form of verb which works as an adjective, noun, or a verb. You see that? A participle can be a verb, and it can be an adjective, and can be a noun, depending on where it is in the sentence. And a gerund is a kind of participle. And so a gerund is a participle, but it's a kind of participle. A gerund is a present participle, a verb plus ing, which works as a noun. And so with our amazing and crazy English language, we can take verbs, and by changing them a bit, we can make them an adjective, or we can make them a noun, all right? And so we'll learn more. And here is a participle phrase. A participle phrase contains a participle and other words. And so a phrase is a group of words that are not a complete sentence. And so students planning to study nursing must first meet with the dean. Okay? Plan is the verb, but by adding ing, we make it into a participle. Students planning to study nursing. And so the words in red are the participle phrase, is the participle phrase. The police will question anyone found lurking around the dormitories. Lurk is the verb. Lurk means just to walk around suspiciously. And so by adding ing, we're making it a participle, lurking around the dormitories, found lurking around the dormitories. And the red words are the participle phrases. All right, so I'm not sure if this is clear for you or not, but you need to at least understand there are participles, and participles are verbs that we use as adjectives and can be used as a noun. And we have a participle phrase, which is a phrase that has a participle and other words in it. All right? And so this is just a short lesson about participles. And next, we're going to teach another short lesson about prepositions and prepositional phrases. Before we go on, I have one more slide about participle phrases and participles that I think will be helpful. So let's look at this. Participle phrases provide a seamless way to integrate additional information into a sentence. What does that mean? It means participle phrases are an easy way to put more information into a sentence. They are phrases. A phrase is a dependent clause. They're a phrase that look like action verbs, but they act really more like adjectives. So we're talking about participles. Participles, they are made of verbs, they look like verbs, but if we really pay attention, we're using them as adjectives to describe a noun. And so they act more like adjectives, giving further description of the noun. So English is very much like this. We have a lot of words that we can add to describe the noun, to modify the noun, and we do this to try to make the conversation or the story more interesting so that you can imagine it in your mind. Using this helpful grammar tool makes reading material more enjoyable for you and your audience. So a participle phrase is formed in two ways. A present participle. These are formed by verbs ending in ing. They describe nouns in the present moment. Okay, a present participle. You take a verb and add ing. But they're no longer a verb. Now they become an adjective that describes a noun. About how the noun, the person, place, or thing feels, or the actions that are currently going on. For example, soaring over the Atlantic Ocean, Susan sips her coffee. The main idea is that Susan is sipping her coffee. So that's the sentence. We want you to know Susan is sipping or drinking her coffee. But the particular phrase, soaring over the Atlantic Ocean, it helps to create an image in our mind of what she's doing right now. And so to make the sentence more interesting, Susan is drinking her coffee, the author tells us where she's at. She's soaring or flying over the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, and so that's how we use it, to try to make the sentence more interesting. Past participle, these phrases are formed by verbs ending in ed. They describe what has occurred with the noun in the recent past. Example, Alex went to sleep having finished cleaning his room. And so finish is the verb, we add ed to it, and yes, it can be a past tense verb, but here it's used as a participle, in a participle phrase. Alex went to sleep. That's enough information. But we want to add more information. Having finished cleaning his room. Okay, so that is the participle, the past participle, finished, and having finished his room is the participle phrase. Alex has gone to sleep, but the phrase having finished cleaning his room shows that before he went to sleep, he cleaned his room. Notice that these two phrases cannot stand on their own as they are independent clauses. So a participle phrase is a dependent, not independent, but dependent clause. All right, so I hope this doesn't confuse you very much, but I wanted you to know, to at least for it to chok nang kuk ball samrap pilkrowing.